Caitlin Marie Claire, and welcome to the Mother Moon channel. Today we are doing part 2 of the moon phases video, moon cycle video. If you haven't seen my first one, part 1, where we talk about the first 4 phases, then go check that out first. This will be a continuation from that, so we're going to be starting with the full moon. But before I get right into that, I had a comment on my last video when I was using frankincense, and so it got me thinking that I would do all of the lighting with you guys and talk about it as I'm doing it, so that there's a little bit more learning. When you're learning, fun, right? I thought so. So today I'm actually going to be lighting sandalwood. So a little bit about sandalwood. Sandalwood is actually one of the most, I think if not the most precious wood there is. Just gonna struggle a bit. There we have it. Because it takes several generations actually in order for one tree to reach its full maturity, is a very, very wise teacher of patience and to not rush the process, to remind us that every single thing that we do is, like every single day that the tree grows, important to get to where we need to be. It is also a good teacher of peace and brings about harmony and tranquility, because in order to be patient, you must harness your inner poise and your inner calm. It can almost make you feel a little bit sleepy, so it might be a nice thing to also use if you have trouble sleeping or struggle with insomnia. Lighting sandalwood or having it in a diffuser would actually help. Since we know that sandalwood does this inherently, that just automatically is this, we don't have to actively hold that intention. We can release it now. We are matching our intention with its intention, vibration to vibration, and now we can move on and know that that's being taken care of behind the scenes. I'm all about magic working for us, not us working for magic. We are magic. We do not have to work for it. So now that we have our incense lit, we're going to go ahead and light a couple candles. Of course, I've got my silver candle again. So I'm lighting the silver candle because not only does the silver color represent the moon, it represents psychic intuition and just psychic abilities and insight in general. So we have that. So I'm also going to light a white candle. Reason being, white represents a lot of different things. It primarily represents peace and purity and like the overall power of light. It is the connecting light to everything. Now that we've got all of our candles lit, our incense going, it's time to talk about the moon. And today we're going to be starting with the full moon, also known as the mother moon, full illuminated moon. This is the moon most commonly used to make moon water and to do most rituals and spells. That is because this is a very powerful moon. This has its full potential energy. So this cycle is really, really good to recharge, because the moon is donating so much of its energy to us. Recharge could be anything for you. If you feel most recharged when you go out and you're around friends, do it. Or if you feel most recharged when you are, snuggled up in a nest in your bed, do that. If you feel best when you're making food or baking, or if you're doing art and you just don't have a lot of time to, this cycle is a really good time to prioritize the things that make you feel re-energized, and to do spells or rituals that focus on re-energizing who you are. The full moon, the mother moon, is also a time when we can connect to our highest selves, because there is so much energy there, which is why it's a really good practice to do the things that make you feel recharged. Because when we connect to who we really, really are and what makes us feel really, really good inside, then we actually become our highest self. So during this full moon energy, a lot of times you can feel pent up and there can be a lot of pent-up energy. So if you're not doing something that makes you feel good and using that energy in a positive way, it can easily go bad and foul, and that's what we don't want. Okay, so I want to talk about a crystal that's good to use in this. Clear quartz is a really good crystal to use because it mirrors the full moon so well. It's high charge, multi-dimensional. It has so many different abilities, capabilities. It is really good to use for psychic self, and it overall just carries a very, very high energy. Boop, 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 boop. That piece of clear quartz right there. Very, very, very beautiful, as you can see. Once again, we'll talk about our candles. Candles that we can use during this are white, of course. I explained it to begin with, so I'm not going to go into it again. We can use pink candles because pink represents self-care, and it's really important, like I said, to do the things that we really love in this cycle. Silver, of course, because of psychic intuition and just to honor the moon. Purple candles as well, because purple is a psychic color. And another color that I like to use is green, because green represents health. It also represents growth. So if you're somebody who doesn't do maybe the things that they love, that lighting that green candle while doing something that you're loving is validating to the universe. We often talk about validation from the universe, but we are validating back to the universe that we understand this lesson and that we are showing our growth. Okay, so the next cycle is the Waning Gibbous cycle. So this is when we've got our full moon, our beautiful full moon, and the shadow just starts to come. Not so it's half, but the shadow is just a sliver. The shadow's the crescent now, right? We're starting to move away from the full potential energy and back to our new moon, right? This is actually a time for introspection. This is the time for us to kind of look at karmic patterns, karmic cycles, and getting rid of and our bad habits, drawing attention to them. Having just seen that where the moon is full and how it looks when it's full, and having now a shadow of darkness in there draws attention to the things that don't benefit us anymore, the things that no longer serve us. And this is going to be an important time to do that, because in our next cycle we're going to be taking action on this. These are times and opportunities for us to focus on accessible, easily achievable goals. This cycle also represents boundaries. It's also important to know that because it is in almost complete luminosity, that we are super, super, super supported by love and light, and by the truth, by the gods, by the angels. They're with us and they're present, and they want to help us start to kind of come off of this really beautiful high from the full moon and transition, not to go down, not to feel bad, but able to look at ourselves in a very growth oriented way so that we can better ourselves. So crystals that are good for this. I don't have it, unfortunately, but it is smoky quartz. So similar to the crystal I showed you before, but there's a little bit more cloudiness in there. It's not so transparent as it is translucent. There's more shoots of distortion inside the crystal. This crystal, smoky quartz, what it does is it will actually help remove things that are taking away from what you've been trying to manifest. It's almost the perfect crystal to use when you are still trying to continue with the high from the full moon, the high of the energy, still doing the good work that you need to, while addressing the things that need to be addressed and changed. So candles that can be used for this. Number one, black can be used for boundary setting. Anytime you are setting boundaries for anything in your life, using black is a very, very easy way to do this, because as you are setting the boundaries, you are also working with a black candle, which is good for banishing. So it is like 2 steps in one, understanding that you are setting a boundary and banishing the opposing thing that you are looking to set the boundary against. Green candles are really good for, once again, growth and healing. So as we are growing and understanding the shadow or the shadow in ourselves, it is important to heal that as well. So if a blue candle can simply be used for peace and forgiveness. Remember to love ourselves as we work on ourselves. Pink is also a really good color to use for emotional healing. Yellow represents learning with a cheerful disposition. Okay, so Now we are accessing the last quarter moon, or sometimes referred to as the third quarter moon. Is when it is half illuminated and half in shadow. It represents the third quarter. The moon has gone now 3/4 around the earth and is working on its last quarter to complete this cycle. So if I interchange them, know that it's the exact same thing. In this cycle, kind of going back to in the last video that I did about the moons, I talked about the moon cycles kind of in like this harvest farming type of way, with like seeds being planted and growing. So this cycle would represent all of the crops that we've planted being reaped, harvested. Fields are bare and it is waiting for next cycle's seeds, essentially. So if we use that logic of everything being harvest, that would mean we would have ample reasons to feel good, feel happy, feel full, in the sense of feeling completed, feeling happy, or maybe full of motivation to change something. So it is a time to be just grateful in general. This is a time where you actually might see validation, like angel messages with angel numbers, feathers in the sky. You may get validation that you are on the right path. Otherwise, this could be a time where you get ripped away from your path and put onto the right one if you are pursuing things that are not working for your highest good. It is a time to release fear of things. Changing up the way that you look at that in this cycle will actually help make the difficulties that arrive a little bit more cushioned, and you will have clearer insight, clearer sight in general as to what's going on if difficulties do come up. Crystal that I would choose for this cycle to work with is aquamarine. Reason is because aquamarine is really, really good at diffusing and releasing anger, stress, paranoia, and it helps dispel traumatic patterns, karmic patterns, ancestral patterns. So as you are releasing and being grateful for what you do have and what you are doing now, aquamarine helps to release that fear, release that aggression, or release that stress, or release that anger. You have to remember that shadows are only cast by light, and so there is ample light around us. Aquamarine, just as the gods are cushioning you during this time, using aquamarine helps to keep those thoughts clear, to help to remember we are working on this because we love ourselves, not because we don't. Candles that we can use during this time. Brown candles represent a coming home. So it represents coming back home to yourself, being true to yourself. And what is home if not a place to feel cozy and relaxed and comfortable in, while sometimes having to work through the larger issues? Pink candles are good to light. They represent nurturing the self. They also represent, of course, self-love in this. Silver can be lit to access our psychic wisdom, our highest self's wisdom. So when we are going down the path of working with the things we don't like, it'll be easy to access the wisdom to how to make it right. Black candles can be used to dispel old habits and to also help break those karmic patterns. Of course, once again, to set boundaries, which are important when you are working on yourself, when you are being vulnerable and your shadow self is coming out and you are healing trauma or old wounds or just bad habits. It's important to keep boundaries around us because we are very accessible. And last but not least, orange is a really good candle to use to keep ambitions high, which is really important when you are working on yourself. I feel like a broken record. It's still good to be ambitious about where you want to go, and that's what helps keep you focused on what you need to heal, is where you want to end up. Now we are at the last phase of I have to make sure I'm saying it right. The last phase of the cycle, the waning crescent. And this is, of course, when we have our little fingernail clipping sliver of light left. This is the time to relax. There is not much doing in this phase. This is a very thoughtful phase. This is a introspective phase. This is the time for us to look at what we planted last cycle, the last beginning of the cycle, and think about, in terms of planting, which seeds do I not want to spend time watering this time around? And in that thinking, we must also ask ourselves, what do we need to put down now? Period for quiet, it's a period to observe and to consider what we are going to be doing moving forward. Because we are about to enter a new beginning again, we want to make sure that old chapters are closed and that we are not going to be putting time into things that didn't amount to anything. Remember to set realistic expectations for yourself. So it is just a time for introspection. It's a time to rest yourself. If you had a hard time when we were going through the last quarter moon, and if a lot of disturbances were coming up, a lot of contrast was showing in order for you to switch gears, in order for you to get off the wrong path and get onto the right path, or even just to help you grow and heal, now is the time for you to rest. Now is the time for you to understand and to not just jump right in. We're not jumping into the new beginnings. This is the breath before the jump. This is the ideas before the pitch. Just take your time to be true to yourself. This is the honest period. This is, who am I really? What works for me really? What do I want really? A crystal for this time is bloodstone. Can help you to push past blocks in your head. It ramps up the energy of knowing and of good ideas and good thoughts. It kind of redirects your mind. So this crystal, although we are going through a period of rest, we want to make sure that we are aligning ourselves first with what we want. And so it's a stone that can actually help almost like pinpoint what it is that does drive you, what it is that does fulfill you. And in doing that, you know where to prioritize when you do plant the seeds. Okay, candles that we can use. Once again, black for protection and boundary setting. This is a really good time to use red. Red is a very powerful color. It represents devotion and strength and energy. But in this point, it is not only important for us to be strong, it is also a time for us to be brave. We're looking at our shadow selves and having to address the things that failed, or having to address the things that maybe we don't love anymore or don't want anymore, and we have to let go of things. It's important to be brave. Blue, once again, for forgiveness and also to be poised. We can let go of things. Sometimes that letting go of things means hurting other people. And it's important that we stay graceful and humble as we do this. And purple, not only because it continues to help us access our psychic wisdom and our psychic abilities, but it also helps to uncover a lot of hidden wisdom within ourselves and align us with that wisdom. When you're using bloodstone, for example, and a purple candle, the bloodstone will help light up the hidden wisdom that comes from the purple. So that's it for all the moon cycles now. We did it, guys. We finished it all. So I'm really, really happy that we have this all complete. If you have any questions, or if you have any comments, please let me know. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.